Hi, my name's Jonathan Hicks. I'm back at the Dice Cup, and this evening I'm joined by
Dave.
And we've just finished playing Patchwork, which is a two-player game about making a patchwork quilt. Now this is the kind of status at the end of the game here, and you can see I filled up most of my grid here with these patchwork pieces, which is kind of what you're trying to do. How you acquire the pieces though is you have this little pawn here, and initially the pieces are kind of, if we take some of these and sort of push them out here, they're arranged in like a circle around here, and the key thing is where this pawn is, because when it's your turn you can take one of the next three pieces here, and you start off on the outside here, and each piece has a certain amount of cost in buttons and also a certain amount of cost in time. So if I want this piece, I have to pay a whopping 8 buttons. That's pretty expensive. So I sort of pay my 10 in, I take a couple of buttons change, and then I can take this piece, and the pawn goes into that space. And then I have to try and fit this, assuming there weren't sort of lots of pieces on here already. I fit this somewhere on my board, and you can see you're trying to like tessellate them. You're playing Tetris, if you like, with the pieces, trying to fit them all on. But the 6 time is quite important. It means that my piece would then advance 6 times. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now each time you go past one of these buttons, you get your income. Any buttons you have on any pieces here, so you see this is actually a good piece for income, because every time I go past one of the income spots on here, I'm going to get 3 buttons income from here. So although it's quite expensive, I'm going to get a lot more. You can see all the different income spaces on here. So you're taking the pieces if you actually, one of the things that's quite important is if you're further back, it's your turn. So now it'd be Dave's turn, and he would look at the next 3 pieces and maybe decides to take this one, and he pays for it and advances the pawn here. But that only moved in 2 times forward. So now because he's still behind, he would get to go again. So he keeps taking pieces. Maybe he takes this one. He keeps going again until he goes past me. At that point, it will become my turn, and then I go around. So you're sort of hopping over each other, and you're spiraling your way into the center here, using up your time. Now when you get to the center, that's it, your game is over, and the other person would carry on until they get to the center, and then the whole game is over. And you count up how many buttons you've got. Buttons, as well as being the currency for buying the pieces, are also victory points. So at the end of the game, most buttons wins. But there's a couple of other important things. One is that any empty spaces you have left on your grid are worth -2 buttons at the end, or -2 points. So it's very important to try and fill up your grid if possible, otherwise you lose a lot of points. But also, if you manage to get like a full 7x7 grid, the actual board size is like 9x9, so if you can fill a kind of 7x7 section within that, then you get to take this. So you're kind of racing for the other person to take this, and this is just worth 7 points or 7 buttons at the end of the game. So you go round, most buttons at the end is the winner. What do we think?
This is my favourite 2-player game ever, so
wow.
I really like it. I like how there's a balance between how many buttons, like something that gives you an income of buttons is obviously very good, but it costs a lot of buttons initially, so it's quite hard to get. But you want to, depending on what part of the game you're in, you want to try and get an income of buttons early on, and then later on you're weighing up whether you want to how much space you're filling or how much time you're spending. You're always thinking about time. Is this tile very good, given that I have to spend this much time? And I like taking the awkward pieces early on, but yeah, it's a fantastic game. I like the spatial element. I like that you can play this with anyone. It's very quick to explain, but the strategy in it is quite deep, and if you are playing against someone who's gonna be a bit of a deep thinker, you can take your time with it and really think about your goes.
Rating?
This is a 10.
Wow, okay.
This is a 10.
Yeah, I think it is a fantastic game, actually. It's one of those, first time someone taught this to me, I was like, really? Patchwork quilt? The theme does not grab me at all. But then I played it and I was like, oh, there's quite a lot of strategy to this. And the more I played it, the more I discovered. One interesting thing is that all the pieces you're trying to pick up are not sort of even. Some pieces are definitely better than others, and the time thing is really tricky, because once you run out of time, that's it, your game is over. So a piece might be very cheap in terms of buttons, but if it costs you a lot of time, it may not be worth it. Some pieces fill up a lot of space and are very cheap in terms of buttons. They're very awkward to position, so as Dave says, you kind of want to get this early. There's lots to think about, and it doesn't take a long time. It really packs a punch for the sort of size of game it is. And as Dave says, I've had great success playing this with my family, as well as other gamers. I just can't fault it, really. I think it's a fantastic game. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. All right, thanks very much for watching. That was Patchwork.